Greetings, History 141 class. This is Professor Fia. Happy Halloween. Our producer, Megan Piette, is behind us. You can't see her, but she's actually dressed like Napoleon today for Halloween. It's also Reformation Day, so if you're a Protestant today, we celebrate Martin Luther's nailing the 95 Theses to the door of the Wittenberg Church. But we are here filming the virtual office hours, and we are going to talk today about our seminar that we had earlier this week about the Constitution, the United States Constitution, and Federalist paper number 10. Now again, we read these things together because I want you to see the Constitution and understand the Constitution in its 18th century context. We are looking at it as a historical document. In other words, we're not particularly interested, at least at this point, with the amendments or how the Constitution was changed over the years. We're interested in, if you will, the sort of original idea behind the Constitution and the way the framers understood what the Constitution would do. And I think Federalist paper number 10, written by James Madison, was very, very helpful to us in trying to get a sense of really what the Constitution is doing. Remember, we just went through this tumultuous decade of the 1780s, tumultuous from the perspective of the Founding Fathers especially. First of all, it's very, very difficult in this period for people to live out the kind of virtue that the Founding Fathers had hoped. Remember, the Founding Fathers in the 1770s and early part of the Revolution believed that this country could be held together by virtuous people. They believed people had the capacity to sacrifice their own interests for the greater good. In the 1780s taught them a hard lesson about human nature. It taught them that human beings are naturally going to be prone to self-interest. We see this with the economic problems that we talked about when we lectured on the Articles of Confederation and the collapse of virtue. But we see it in a host of different ways, to the point where the founders are talking about the Republic being sick or being ill, and some change needs to be made. So in what I think is one of the greatest political coups in American history, these founders, who don't like the fact that self-interested democracy is blooming in the 1780s, come along, meet secretly in Philadelphia, they produce a constitution, a brand new form of government, and then in some ways have the audacity to bring this constitution to the states, who are going to lose power as a result of it, and get it ratified. And it actually works. So Madison writes Federalist 10 as part of the justification. Why should we ratify this Constitution? And what's fascinating about Madison's Federalist 10 is that it's embedded in this change understanding of human nature. Suddenly now this utopian idea that human beings, Americans, are able to sacrifice for the greater good seems to be gone, and Madison focuses almost overwhelmingly on this idea of self-interest, or that human beings by their nature are prone to faction, prone to self-interested behavior. So why don't why don't we build a constitution or a new government around the idea of dealing with these factions? Everyone admits self-interest is wrong. Everybody admits factionalism is wrong. So let's build a constitution around the notion of trying to control these self-interests, so one self-interest does not trump the other self-interest, because then, according to good Whig political theory, you have tyranny. So we cure the faction, so to speak, not by removing their causes as much as by controlling them. And thus we need to filter or refine the ideas of the self-interested people through a group of wise and educated and patriotic, maybe even wealthy, although Madison doesn't say this specifically in Federalist 10, but these kinds of people who will understand the greater good. And I think this is the philosophy in many ways, and there's other Federalist papers that also expound on this. This is the philosophy behind the United States Constitution. So if you look at it in its original format, you certainly have in Article 1, and by the way, know those articles. Article 1, legislative. Article 2, executive. Article 3, judicial. Any good American citizen needs to know those things. So I kidded in my seminar, I'm going to find you in the halls in Boyer Hall and say, Article 2, what does it say? So beware, I'm on the prowl for that. But Article 1, the legislature, you have this House of Representatives. very much a sort of bone, if you will, thrown to the people. The House of Representatives, the people have to, the representatives have to go back every 2 years. They're elected by the people. But then you have the Senate, that sort of Mount Olympus, as I called it in my seminar, not necessarily directly accountable to the people. So they have to. They only have to go back every 6 years to get the vote of the state legislature. Again, this is a filter. You have the president, who is not directly elected by the people. It's not until 1824 that they actually count the popular vote in the United States. And then, of course, the judicial branch is not elected directly by the people. So again, connect Federalist Paper number 10 and this idea of filters and this idea of controlling the people, and compare that with, or see how the Constitution reflects those ideas. And then compare the Constitution, which is trying to put a curb on democracy, to slow down democracy, with the teeming democracy of the 1780s, particularly in the state governments. And I think you'll get a good grasp of what we want you to think about when we think about the United States Constitution. So I will see you next time. Happy Halloween, happy Reformation Day, and see you in class.